Hi, my name is Scott Ford. I'm running for School Board Position 5, and thank you for watching this video. I know some of you all out there don't have the opportunity or the time to make it to the different events, and so I'm very happy for this opportunity to talk about the different issues here on, talking to you from the past. So here we go.
All right, question number 1, education focused. Many people in our district are concerned about declining test scores. However, this is a nationwide issue, not an isolated one. What do you see as the root cause of this decline, and what actionable solutions would you bring to the table for discussion with the rest of the board members and committees? Bonus points if you can provide insight from at least one current campus action plan.
Cool, extra credit. All right, so I think I have a unique perspective on this, being a teacher and being an educator for 25 years, as well as having a master's in education. So one of the things that I feel is overlooked, because you get these folks who come in, we need to change this, we need to change this, we need to change this, then we get a new curriculum that's being brought in and it's the bestest ever, until the next curriculum is brought in which case that was the bestest ever and the last one was just the worst, is we forget the fact that new teachers between 1 to 3 years of experience, and it could go even further than that, are not really kind of in their own space yet. Your first year teacher is in survival mode. This is not some secret. Everybody in education knows this. Every teacher knows this. Your first year teaching, you're just trying to survive the classroom. You're trying to survive this new career that you chose. You're trying to survive the reality of the classroom versus what you learned in school. And so it's my feeling that no matter what we do, as far as a school district or individual campuses, if you continually have a turnover of veteran teachers over 5 years, and I would say about 5 years is when you really hit your stride. If we continually churn these people out and bring in 1 through 3-year teachers, it really doesn't matter, I think, what we do as a district, because these teachers don't have, their sea legs yet. They don't have that confidence and that experience to be the best teacher that they can possibly be. It's even to the even I would say that it can be pulled over to teachers who get new assignments or new curriculum or new courses. The first time you get a brand new course, you're unpacking that curriculum almost that entire year, especially the way we have things set up where you don't actually have time to digest the materials. It's usually given to you the week before. Here's your material, go for it, hope you survive. So I would say one of the big things that I would like to see as a change goes back to teacher retention. Keep our teachers there for more than 3 years. Allow them to grow. In fact, I'm on record at a school board meeting talking about giving long-term contracts to teachers, talking about the fact that teachers are under 3 years of probation, and then when you're done with your 3rd year, you still get year-to-year contracts. Well, 1 year probation should be fine. You know right off the bat that first year if this teacher's gonna be a good teacher or not. After that first year, give them an extended contract. Give them a 3 to 5 year contract. I mean, Lord, we do it to superintendents all the time. But allow them to have that career stability of, hey, you did good, we want to keep you here, and we're gonna build you up and grow you as a profession, or a professional, I should say. So I would say a key component to increasing our scores is to keeping teachers around longer who actually can get a handle on the classroom and their curriculum. And of course there's other things, but I think that is a huge issue that needs to be resolved.
It is no secret that the current financial status of our school district is concerning, due in part to wasted funds on lawsuits related to construction issues, Title IX investigations, and other legal matters. Moving forward, what steps do you believe we can take to recover from this negative balance? Additionally, how do you intend to ensure that similar lawsuits are avoided in the future?
All right, let me tackle the lawsuit thing first. Now, that should never have happened to begin with. I've been in the classroom for many years, but I've also worked training and development. Since I left the classroom back in 2008, I've been in training and development, kind of a branch of HR sometimes, depending on where you're at. The things that happen in this district, the toxic environment that this district's at, it was weird. I was watching the hearings, and both the school board and their representatives said that we have a culture of retaliation and intimidation. And then the superintendent and her lawyers also said we have a culture of intimidation and retaliation. And I'm sitting there watching going, and y'all are to blame for this. So we have this, I mean, it's a negative work culture. Right now, I'm not talking about individual campuses. I love where I work, okay? But once you start getting to the district level, we have a major issue where people felt scared to bring concerns up for fear of losing their job. You know, I walked away from, I was a contractor for the CIA and I was making a lot of money, and the contract came to an end and I was offered a contract with the NSA. And that was when Snowden came forward and said what was going on with the NSA, and I walked away from it. It was a $150,000, $160,000 job offer. I want people who have career courage. Career courage meaning you do what's right, not because you're worried about being punished for it or you're worried about being rewarded for it. I'm talking you have career courage, you do what's right because it's right. And you know what, it might mean your job, but we need to become a district where folks are able to sound the alarm, who are able to bring concerns forward and not worry about losing their job or being retaliated against. You know, it's funny, one of the questions that people ask is, because they see me posting and they see me being very active and outspoken, one of the questions they always ask me is, how have you not been fired yet? I don't know, but we need a culture where folks can freely say, this is wrong, this isn't right, and have people actually take those concerns seriously. So towards the lawsuit, if we had a culture that wasn't toxic, if we had a culture where people could step forward and speak out and say, this isn't right, or this is wrong, or I have a concern about this, then we would never have gotten into those issues to begin with. So that's regarding the lawsuit. Now, regarding the money, again, kind of an inside track as a teacher, and I've talked about this in public before, and I've talked about it actually in a video I made not long ago, where a program was bought for my course, for security, cybersecurity course, and the district spent over $100,000 on this program. Now, to be fair, it wasn't just for me, it was for astronomy and I want to say farm tech. None of us are using this program. It's $100,000 plus on a software package none of us can or want to use because it's either out of date or it doesn't work properly. So in my little micro optics of what I saw in the district, the $100,000 being wasted, how much other money is being wasted in this district on software products, hardware, things that nobody's using, nobody asked for them. Who's making these buying decisions? So I would say one of the first things we should do is find out what we're wasting money on. And that requires an audit, I do believe. That also requires us to have the folks who are going to be using this stuff in the room. I mean, like the virtual reality glasses. Looks great on paper, makes a great headline, looks wonderful, photo op, everything like that. These things are collecting dust because we have programs that can't work because they're being blocked by our filtering software. We don't have curriculum for it. It's just a mess. And so I would say, at least from my perspective and what I see as an educator and a faculty member in this district, is we're spending tremendous amounts of money that could be used for raises or additional staffing, which would be nice, on things that nobody even wants. So I think a good portion of at least fixing the budget is stopping the hemorrhage of money that we should be spending.
While I understand that high schools are implementing the Evolve Weapons Detection System, this does nothing to address the issue of fights on campus. As a parent of a child who was attacked in a classroom, I am deeply concerned that incidents of fighting and mutual combat continue to rise, with a 13.7% increase since the 2021 to 2022 school year, which was the first year back after the COVID lockdown. This is a two-part question. What actionable violence prevention measures will you propose to the board and its safety committee at all grade levels? And two, if your proposal requires funding, how do you suggest securing it, especially considering that we may lose enforcement of the ESSA moving forward?
Okay, so let me tackle the fights first. When I worked for the Kate Center in the district from 04 to 08, whenever there was a fight on campus, the police were involved. People were handcuffed, people were ticketed, people had a court date, they had to show up. So these were handled seriously. They weren't handled with a slap on the wrist. They weren't handled with, they're going to be on campus until we can find a place for them. They were dealt with just like you would deal with them in the quote unquote real world. So right now we're in the Kingwood Library. If I'm walking to my car and I get assaulted, okay, if I go to my car and I get punched or mugged or assaulted, the police show up, the police arrest the suspect, The police take the suspect to, the police station, and charges are filed, and it's a criminal process. But for some reason in school, and I'm not just talking student on student violence, we have students who lay hands on faculty and staff, and nothing's done to them. So why is there such a disconnect on the real world on how we deal with violence and assault versus what we do in K-12? And I think a great way to begin tackling that is to actually hold these kids accountable. Because let's take this kind of to its natural conclusion. If you have a student who engages in fights over and over again, aggressive behavior, starts fights, gets in fights, they may have nothing done to them in high school. But one day they're going to be out of high school. Or maybe they're going to be in high school, but one day they're off campus and they pull this with the wrong person in a state where you have constitutional license, you don't have to have a license to carry a gun. They could lose their lives. So we have to start teaching these children there's accountability and there's actual consequences for your behavior. And it's not you get to go down to the office and come back with a lollipop. So that's step one as far as dealing with the violence in the classroom, is treat it seriously versus what we're doing now. Now, as far as school safety goes, this is one I really wish we had more time to talk about in forums. I have postgraduate work from the George Bush School of Governance from Texas A&M in Homeland Security and Emergency Management. I also have postmaster's work from George Mason University in Homeland Emergency Management. I have built command post trainings for the FBI in preparation for the Super Bowl at Cowboy Stadium. I could teach this stuff in college, okay? I take a look at what we're doing in security in our district, and it's not just our district, this is a problem across schools everywhere. And we have what we call security theater. In fact, I was just teaching this week because I teach cybersecurity, and part of that is physical security. And we have the security theater where things are meant to make everybody feel good. It doesn't actually do anything, but it makes you feel good, it makes you feel secure. And so next week, I believe we're getting these systems installed on our campus with the explanation of, well, this is what they use in stadiums. Great. I've developed command post training for the Super Bowl at Cowboy Stadium. I can tell you those stadiums have a lot more than just those detectors at the door. They got snipers outside the building. They got snipers inside the building. They've got underclothes, cops in regular clothes. They've got cops who are visible. They have all sorts of other things. It's not just a one thing that fits. Now, it is important. It does help with your security posture to help build security. But I have seen kids wedge doors open with Sharpies bypassing all the security. And so let me tell you the easy fix. And the best thing about this is it's not controversial and it's not crazy expensive. Security 101, you have external perimeter, internal, and secured areas. This is the assumption, it's a castle approach, that the bad guys are going to get through. And so security begins before they even at your front door. It happens in your parking lot. Do you have fencing around your building to limit access points to the campus? Look around, you're going to see a lot of them don't. Then, there's a Sam's Club on 45 that has a fence. They got better external security than we do. You have cameras facing the parking lot. These cameras are on a closed circuit television system where they're monitored. So if somebody's walking towards the campus with a long gun, before they even get there. So start with external perimeter. Secure our property around the building. Step one. Step two is internal perimeter. They've gotten to your front door. Now, how do you stop them? How do you protect your folks? Locked doors, obviously. The Evolve system is also part of that equation. Badges, part of that equation. But here's the other thing. Every secure facility I've ever worked in, if a bad guy gets to the front door and that door's locked, they can't go to a side door and blow it open with a gun. Next time you're on your campuses, take a hard, serious look at the schools. You lock the door, you put a metal detector in the front. Can somebody shoot out the glass on these doors and just walk in? Sadly, yes. And this is not Humble ISD. This is across all our school districts. So part of it also goes to building the buildings. Build them safe, build them with security and not just aesthetics in mind. Then we have secure perimeter. That's the actual inside. That's the classrooms themselves. So as far as security goes, we need to just basically do the security 101. We need to do the basics of security that every facility and every organization knows about But for some reason in K-12, we just kind of go, nah, it's okay.
It is well established through multiple medical and peer-reviewed studies that there is a strong correlation between child health and academic success. In November 2021, current board members Chris Parker and Mike Grabowski voted against keeping the district's contract with Memorial Hermann, which provided free health care for students at some of our most at-risk schools, 4 of which are Title I schools. Given that healthier students generally perform better academically, and considering that every candidate is running on a platform of academic improvement, I find it difficult to justify the decision to eliminate a proven support system for student success. Do you support this clinic, and would you vote to keep it if the issue were to rise again? And what are your thoughts on the student nutrition programs, such as the free breakfast program offered by Humble ISD this year?
Okay, so as far as the clinic goes, this is going to be one of these things where I have to talk about in principle, because I don't have all the information, right? I don't know what the cost is, I don't know what the contracts look like, I don't know the specifics of it, but I can tell you on principle, if we have a dealing or a contract or some sort of mutually understood agreement with them, free healthcare for kids, I'm for it. If it works, again, on principle only, I'm okay with this. If Memorial Hermann wants to partner with us and give free healthcare to our students of lower socioeconomic status, that's fine. I think take advantage of it. Now, I believe the controversy was over something as far as, I don't want to say indoctrination, but there was a fear of something there or other.
Family planning.
Family planning.
Services, right? Services towards family planning.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes issues are issues because they're issues, not because they're actually a problem. And so, we take a look at that. If they're not, preaching to these kids, and I wouldn't want anybody to do that except parents and guardians, then it's not an issue for me. I'm okay with it. But I would never, personally, I don't stand for indoctrination. I don't do it with my kids. I don't do it with my students. I wouldn't want it done to anybody else's students. But if it's a free service for these kids, and it's a valuable service, then I have no problem with it. But again, I'd have to look at the specifics on it.
Okay. And then what about the nutrition programs, free breakfast?
Mm-hmm.
I think this is the first year we did that.
Yes. So I'm for free breakfast. My child takes advantage of it. The problem is there's so much wasted food. And I don't think we have any control. I think this is more of a federal mandate where the kids have to pick up all the items. So if a child only wants an orange and they grab an orange, they're being charged for it versus they have to buy the whole thing. And now half of that's being thrown out. So I like the concept. In fact, when I first started teaching, I taught life skills back in Summerwoods Middle School years ago. I was a permanent sub or long-term sub for it. Children can't learn if they're hungry. Right? It's a hierarchy of needs. And if a child's sitting there and their belly is rumbling, you can't teach them. No matter how good of a teacher you are, they're not paying attention. They're worried about food. And as a teacher, actually as a sub in that classroom, making even less, I would go to Fiesta and I would go to different stores and have fruits for the kids and have snacks for the kids so that way they could eat and not be hungry. And only once that happens, then they could pay attention. So I am all for making sure our kids aren't hungry. The problem that I see is the amount of wasted food, but I don't think we have any control over that, being that I believe this is a federal rule or maybe it's a state law rule. But even then, there's got to be a way we can kind of limit the waste of these food. Again, we're dealing with state law or federal law, so who knows what conditions they have.
How do you feel about school vouchers, for or against them?
Oh yeah, so it's no secret I'm a libertarian. And we are always for choice. We're always for personal choice, freedom of choice. I am very much for school choice. I believe parents and guardians should pick the best educational route for their own children. Saying that, also as a libertarian, we have an inherent distrust of government, and what we're seeing here is a great example of the problem with government, trying to fix something. The voucher system as presented gives me a lot of heartburn. I don't like it. What I'm seeing is the same folks who were all pro-public school years ago, who made millions off of their positions and their dealings, who then went to charter schools, made millions off of that, are now going behind the voucher system. And you got to be careful whenever those folks keep jumping ships, because usually something's going on there. So if we could find a school choice system that is equitable to everybody, if it's fair to folks, I'm for it. The voucher system is not it, I don't think. It gives me a lot of pause. And what's interesting about this is you have a lot of like very conservative people and a lot of very libertarian people who are also looking at this voucher system and going, no, this is not good. This is not what we want. Also the added scare of the fact that if the state of Texas is coming in and giving money, then there's always conditions on that money, right? So the private schools are now gonna have to deal with conditions that they never had to deal with before, and so do homeschoolers. So they're not tickled about this either. I would say, as far as choice goes, and I've said this before, is there's no reason why we can't be the school of choice, right? It's coming whether we want it or not. We can be the school of choice. I can tell you at the CTE level, at the Cates Center level, we were the school of choice. We had districts coming in and seeing what we did. We can do that again. We can be the place that not just students want to come to, but also faculty and staff. If we become a great district where people, again, can speak openly and be heard and have career growth and feel appreciated, we will attract folks from all across the state. And so, we need to be the school of choice. This is happening whether we want to or not. And the voucher system, I am not crazy about it. I think there's some hidden surprises that nobody's going to like, unless you're making money off of it. Thank you for watching the video. My name is Scott Ford. I'm running for position 5. I hope I have your vote and your support. Being a classroom teacher, I think I bring a unique perspective into what's going on, seeing this from the inside out. So be sure to get out there and vote. And even if it's not for me, make sure you research all your candidates, because I'm a teacher, I give homework. So research your candidates first and then vote for the best one. Thanks for watching.